Introducing
Pretty Girls Love Real Estate. Stories of everyday women breaking barriers and building wealth through real estate.
Let's get it. Boss. BOSS.
Hello. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Pretty Girls Love Real Estate podcast. I'm your host, Jessica Washington, and I am super excited once again for my guest today. This is the first time I'm having somebody that's dealing primarily with the office asset class. And of course, with everything that's going on with the pandemic, it's been a highly discussed topic. What's going to be the state of the office asset class moving forward with, the new work from home normal. So I'm excited to talk to her today. Her name is Wunmi Onile-Ere, and she is a office broker in the Manhattan and New York City markets. So Wunmi, how are you? Thank you for joining me today.
I'm great, thank you. How are you doing? Thank you so much for having me.
I'm awesome as always. Looking forward to our conversation. Really excited to just hear your take on what's going on. But before we get to talking about real estate, I just want to point out that you had an amazing career and done so many wonderful things before you even transitioned to real estate. So I want to kind of talk about a little bit of that first. So prior to this in your career, you were a commodities trader, which is super fascinating and awesome. So I want to know more about just that whole experience.
Sure. So I was a physical commodities trader. So unlike what a lot of people assume with trading, it was not on paper, just kind of working numbers on a computer. Is literally the oil and moving oil across the world and moving oil into depots that go into cars and the whole shebang. And so my career was pretty fascinating in the sense that I kind of started out in market analysis and then worked in a refinery out in Vancouver. Gained a lot of very strong, both understanding market fundamentals and then also understanding operationally what it takes to make oil worthwhile, turn oil into useful products. And then converting that into trading itself. So basically working with counterparts all over the world to buy oil at the best rates and ensure that it goes through our systems. I was working with integrated majors. So it basically means we have exposure to the crude oil and we also have exposure to the users of oil, so like the oil stations. And we would sell to the companies that trade, and we'll also sell to companies that actually fill the oil in depots. So it's pretty exciting, and I really enjoyed. I think my favorite aspect of commodity trading is that you have to use data to make the right decisions. It's definitely not a off the cuff business. Even though my colleagues used to call me the oil cowgirl at the time, because I was basically the only female oil trader when I was working out in Nigeria. And even when I was initially working with BP out in California, and then I worked with them in Chicago and also in Vancouver, or more like outside Vancouver, Washington State. And even then, there were very few women in this side of the business. But what I really enjoyed about it is that you're looking at macro and microeconomic fundamentals. You're looking at the socioeconomic fundamentals as well with the pricing, and you're also looking at geopolitical information, because if there's if war breaks out in a certain part of the world, it actually affects the prices right away, and people don't understand that. And so when you're in the business, you really start learning that, and then you're also making future forward decisions on these, because when you buy oil cargo, it takes about 3 months for it to even arrive sometimes. So you have to actually make an estimate of what's going to arrive. And then finally, my favorite aspect of it too is that you're also constantly thinking about how you're maximizing your profit, as well as minimizing your cost and mitigating all the different risks that can happen from, I saw everything from pirate attacks to fires in oil depots, to all scarcity of oil not getting to what do you call them, the gas station and so on. So it's a pretty exciting career.
Okay, so really quick before we get into real estate, because I'm super fascinated by this. Obviously, in the world right now, there's, I would say, almost an oversupply because people haven't been driving as much during the pandemic. Everybody's home for the most part. And then with this new Biden administration, they're speculating that they're really going to be turning towards, cleaner energy. Electric vehicles are now going to be the standard. A lot of states are saying they want to, have zero emissions by like 2030. So what is your opinion of where the oil industry is going?
That's a good question. So even while I was in the oil industry, alternative fuels was already becoming an important part of the conversation. While I was at BP, they invested a lot into renewable fuels. And also when I was at Oando, which is a major in Nigeria, they're also thinking around using cleaner fuels. So I started out trading gasoline and then expanded into trading LPG, which is liquefied petroleum gas. And it's actually a lot cleaner for the environment. It's the cooking gas that we use. So I think a lot of the smarter oil companies have already been thinking around that and diversifying their activities. I think that it's essential for our world. I don't think fossil fuels are going to necessarily disappear because they're just an essential part of a lot of the way certain functions work, but it doesn't mean that we can't create new ways of doing things. So it'll just be it has to be in tandem, just the same way that we have. I remember when I started, ethanol was part of the big thing, and then it became an issue of, are we going to be fighting over using corn for food or using corn for fuel? And it increased the price of corn as a result of that. And so they had to find something else. So I think the great thing about the world is that we're constantly inventing new ways to do everything. And we just have to ensure that the government is in line with where the world needs to go, that companies are incentivized to make the right decisions, and that people will also embrace some of the alternative options that are being brought to them. But at the end of it all is that they all have to be provided in a way that is cost effective, because at the end of the day, people have to also survive. And so it's important that the alternative fuels aren't made to be like the organic of food, where you have to pay double just to use cleaner energy.
Right. Yeah. It's a very capital intensive industry to get in. And that's why a lot of, the governments are incentivizing these oil companies with a lot of, not oil companies, I'm sorry, clean energy companies with a lot of tax credits to kind of help them get on the ground as they're, kind of get on the runway to become profitable.
Absolutely. And that's really important, is that there has to be incentives all around.
Okay. Awesome. So you went from one industry where you said you didn't see a lot of women, and then you went into an industry where it's probably just as much of that kind of scenario, especially in the New York and Manhattan market. So what made you want to transition from that to want to get into real estate?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I was actually in line with what your prior question is, that I was looking to transition into an industry where the net effect on the world was positive. And with oil, while it's in process, I was really looking to be in an industry where it's just by nature of its existence, it has positive externalities on the world. And so I was kind of working through different options. I tried manufacturing and e-commerce. And then I just stumbled on real estate as a career through a consulting project I was doing. And it made me realize just the power of real estate, because I'd always known about real estate so my grandmother has a real estate portfolio out in Nigeria. And I'd always found it, kind of fascinating how, as she didn't even, I think she only went to high school, but she had amassed this portfolio of real estate that just continues to be profit generating, cash flow generating, year after year, decade after decade. And I was familiar with it, but I never thought of it as a career until I started working at a residential real estate firm in the corporate finance. And it was interesting because it was a luxury, they focused on luxury real estate, but I was really fascinated more by the ownership and really fascinated around real estate as an asset class, and wondering why a lot of people would spend let's say $24 million on a luxury condo in Manhattan, when you would see like a 10 family unit for the similar price or something. And I'm like, that would make much sense. And, just, and I was really interested in just kind of, so I used to like work the math myself in terms of just thinking about the cash flow. And at the same time, I happened to read the cash flow quadrants.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realized that this is so like, it was like my intuition was substantiated, was substantiated by that book. And it made me start really thinking more around real estate. And I was trying to figure out what the pathway would be to treat real estate investment as an asset class, and to convince people, to whether it was kind of the luxury market or up and coming professionals, to start treating real estate as a path to wealth creation and generational wealth, as a way of diversifying their investments as well. And I completely had no idea that commercial real estate existed, because I was in this residential world. And then I ended up I was just by chance, I was introduced to the Diversity in Commercial Real Estate conference. And when I went there, I was just like, wow, all these people are doing what I was dreaming about. I'm doing it at like the highest form, the top of their field. So that got me really excited about a career in commercial real estate. And I've just been very committed and focused.
Awesome. So, of all the asset classes, what made you decide that you wanted to get involved with offices?
Interesting question. So I think that we actually spend majority of our time, pre-COVID world, in our
Right.
offices, right? And I'd been recently thinking, I think especially because I'd gone from the corporate world to business school, where you have a lot of freedom, and then to the entrepreneurial world when I was working in e-commerce and manufacturing, and then back into the corporate world. And through those most shifts, I realized how the nature of the office really needs to evolve. And it really needs to evolve to kind of meet the changing needs of employees and even companies. And I was also fascinated by the fact that we spend all this time in offices, but a lot of times we're kind of forced into certain spaces, and there's very little room within those spaces where you can maybe relax for 5 minutes, or to have a private call, or and so on and so forth. And so that kind of just made me think about how you can re-envision the office. And I started when I just by happenstance, my first role was in office, but I was really interested in office because there's the fact that no matter what happens in terms of the post-COVID world, I don't think that the office is going to go away. More than anything, I think it's just going to evolve, and I'm very excited for the future of the office. And it's an asset class that will continue to evolve. There's going to be ways it can evolve, whether it's from a value add perspective, whether it's from amenities perspective, whether it's from and making sure the lifestyle and proximity to people's commutes are better. I think there are just so many aspects of the office asset class that are so interesting, and also there's room for growth, especially now that a lot of people are thinking about maybe expanding their offices, not to just have one headquarters where everyone must commute to and spend like 2 hours, even if that's what it takes to get there, and having more like a hub and spoke model, or maybe using more of the remote offices where you're working with like a WeWork type of company structure, so some kind of pre-built office structure. So anyway, so I just think that the office is really interesting. It's evolving. There's a lot of opportunity in it, and we just kind of have to work through this reset that's going on, and then it's going to be really an exciting asset class.
All right, awesome. So one thing that you've also mentioned is the Diversity in Commercial Real Estate Conference, which the woman who puts it together, she's a Project REAP alumni. I'm a REAP alumni, and then you just graduated from this most recent class. Congratulations, the first ever virtual. Yeah, the first ever virtual cohort. So just tell me about your experience with that, and I guess how it's helped to springboard your career so far.
Yes, thank you. So Project REAP is really like the answer to my prayers in so many ways. Like I mentioned to you, while I was going through my journey of trying to find my place in real estate, I was, I, it was, it's literally been a 3-year journey. And it's been a 3-year journey with so many roadblocks. Like I wouldn't even bore you with all the details, but I'm sure you kind of can assume what some of them are, being a woman, being of color, and not, having a traditional real estate background. And I found that I really was looking for the opportunity to really learn more about commercial real estate because, like I mentioned, it was a new industry to me. And I also was interested in learning about what are different pathways and different roles that exist within commercial real estate across all the different verticals. And I think biggest of all is I really wanted to be in an environment where my being a woman and being of color wasn't kind of like my headline, where I could kind of be comfortable and just be around similar people where we all just kind of focused on why we're here and what we're trying to do. And repost that for me in so many ways. One, because it has just the most incredible evangelists within the program. The people that run the program, the board, they're just genuinely care about you. They genuinely care about your career. They make time to get to know you, get to know your aspirations, and make introductions for you, which is just like a godsend in so many ways. The program is set up in a way that you are constantly getting to interact and meet people who are at the top of their field in the career. And the best part is a lot of the people who are at the top of the field in their careers are REAP alums who are, also of color. And so that, goes to the next part of it, which is a lot of the REAP alums they're just so generous of spirit and generous in their sharing of knowledge and also their sharing of their Rolodex in many ways. And so that for me has just really been a blessing. And so it's been the opportunity to have the courses as well. So like we've had courses on all the key aspects of required to understand real estate, from real estate finance to development to pro forma underwriting, to acquisitions analysis, like you name it. We had these courses taught by industry veterans as well. So it's just an incredibly well-rounded program with run by incredible people and with an alumni range that is just also incredible.
Yeah, I agree 1000%, especially about the evangelist part. Everybody that I've interacted with during the time I was in REAP and ever since I've graduated from the program, quote unquote, has been nothing short of amazing. Everybody's helpful. Everybody is willing to go out of their way to help you in whatever, any question that you have. So I would say it's a life-changing experience to be a part of it and to be a part of the REAP family. So always looking to just spread the word, shout it from the rooftops. It's so amazing of an organization. So it's a great transition that you mentioned about different courses and different actual technical skills within real estate, because I saw that you recently got your Argus certificate. So congratulations again on that.
Thank you.
Why did you choose to get that particular certification? And first of all, if people don't know, what is Argus? Can you just explain to them what that is really briefly and why you decided to get that certification?
Sure. So Argus is the industry standard when it comes to valuation of assets. And it's a tool that helps you basically model your assets over the hold period, looking and helps you model. So it's basically the underwriting that you may have to do in Excel, but instead you will do it within this program, and it automates a lot of the processes for you. And so that goes, so when you look at an asset, it goes from the purchase price to all the expenses that go into running the asset for however long you hold it for, plus all the revenue you hope to generate. And then when you sell it, what your sales price would be. And then it helps you, basically like discounts it to a present value for that asset. So it helps you basically value assets, with a discounted cash flow method. The reason I took it is, like I mentioned, I'm really interested in real estate from an asset perspective and an investment perspective, and maximizing the value of real estate assets. And so initially I was taking the course because every time I wanted to do anything within real estate, they would ask me, well, do you have Argus? Do you know Argus? You know, like,
Right.
and I was just like, oh my goodness, I need to figure out. But it's actually not that easy to go, get an Argus class and go through the certificate because it's extremely expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks to Project Reap, and it just makes certain avenues open to you. And so, and you just have to make sure you take advantage of them. And so I was able to do that, to take the Argus course, and take the course as well as work on the certificate. And what I really enjoyed about the course and the certification is that you have to get through the certification, you have to understand what's happening in that black box. So in kind of the process I mentioned to you, you actually have to understand what all the calculations are and what's going on behind the scenes, to be able to understand how the modeling works, and then to be able to pass the certification. So for me, it ended up being an incredible way to really learn even more about how assets are valued, how leases affect lease is a building block of valuation for an asset, and really understanding like how you structure leases, and how every single term in a lease results in some kind of valuation metric, like all the different levers that help you maximize the value of your asset.
Yes, very valuable skill. Any type of financial modeling, any type of, valuation skill that you can have is particularly valuable when, you're looking to work with a developer, you're looking to work in some type of appraisal capacity, asset management, as we had a whole conversation about the other day. So very valuable skill. And I don't see as many people these days getting certified with that. So definitely kudos to you. So with everything
Thank
that you
you.
have going on and all your recent success, what's some of your other goals for 2021?
Yeah, so it's a great question. I'm really interested for 2021 to continue to build my skill set around understanding real estate as an investment, and either from the principal side, as investment management, or from landlord side of real estate, and as an owner operator, and learning just more about how to maximize real estate investments in many different ways. And so I'm doing more work in that regard, reading more books on that regard, and also interacting with people who are working in that space, just to kind of learn how they measure success, and how they shape their careers as well. And hoping all of that kind of leads into making the right moves within my career.
Yeah, well, you're definitely taking all the right steps. So definitely kudos to you again for that. And, I'm always here to be a resource any way that I can help. So definitely rooting for you and looking forward to seeing your progress in the future. Is there any other initiatives or just any particular groups or anything that you're involved with that you want to talk about?
So I'm very, it's interesting. I'm one of those jack of all trades sometimes, but ever since I've kind of found my, I guess, tribe, especially with Project Reap, and real estate, I've been very focused, a lot more focused than my Gemini personality typically would be. And so kind of everything I'm really focused on right now, apart from doing, I continue to do a lot of work on economic empowerment through NGOs that I'm a part of. But with respect to real estate, I'm really want to go full throttle on kind of honing my skill set, building relationships in the industry, and just improving my capabilities, and just knowledge, product knowledge, submarket knowledge, and so on.
Okay, awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing it. Congratulations to you. So let's move into the last segment of the show. It's called the Fabulous Four, and it's just four questions that I ask every guest. So whatever comes to your mind off the top of your head, just go for it. So the first question is, what is your favorite book about real estate?
So interestingly, it's a book I read recently called French Lessons to My Daughters, and it's written by Joseph French, who is on the board of Project Reap, and he's also, runs investment sales business with Marcus and Millichap. And he was one of the very first people I met when I was interested in commercial real estate, and I actually met him at the conference, I believe, or I was maybe introduced to him after the conference that we mentioned. And what I love about the book is that one, it's like advice from a father figure to women in the industry, which I need. And it's also an autobiography of a very successful investment sales career, and also navigating a path within the industry as a person of color. So it basically hits all the nails that I think are really essential for me in my career, and just the best advice that I could never imagine is provided through that book.
Okay, I haven't heard of that one personally, so I'm definitely going to add it to my reading list and check that
Yes,
out.
I'll send you a link to it. It's on Amazon, and it's pretty new. I think he launched it last year.
Okay, cool. Definitely looking forward to checking it out, and good to have good perspective from something that, from recent experience. So that's great. The second question is, what advice would you give to your younger self just when you first got started with real estate?
So that's very recent, younger self. But I
Or
already
maybe
have
when
it.
you first
No, but
started with your career or anything.
yeah, no, even with real estate, actually, I have advice that I wish I'd given myself the year before, which funnily enough, Joseph French gave me, and I wish I'd listened. And but like but in general, like is to ensure that you're planted in an empowering environment. I think real estate is just it's such a dog eat dog kind of world sometimes, and like a eat what you kill environment. And so it's just the fact that especially on the brokerage side, you have to get, very accustomed and comfortable with rejection and just kind of like pounding the pavement. So it's very important that sort of like when you come home to roost or whatever environment you're in, that it's an empowering one that kind of that fuels you, remotivates you, pushes you forward, where you just feel like you're part of a team where there's a mutual investment in success, the team success and your success.
I love that advice for anything, any career path that's, you go out and face rejection, like you said, you kind of get beat down by the world. You need your home environment to be a source of peace and
100%.
inspiration.
100%, yeah. Another one that comes to mind, actually, that I feel like I hope I can give myself again, I feel like I tell myself every day, is that having an unconventional career path, being a woman and being Black doesn't detract from your capabilities, mindset, and commitment. And you should embrace them as your superpower, because,
Yes.
it's
Yes.
hard.
Embrace the challenge, embrace the uphill battle, because it'll be worth it. And, it'll be definitely even more worthwhile to be able to say you made it and being able to
Amen to
reach
that.
back. Yeah, reach back and help somebody else make their path even a little bit easier than yours was. So
Absolutely. Because definitely there are people right now who are just advocating for me and supporting me, that I would not be able to wake up every day with the same level of energy without them.
definitely cool. So what topic in real estate do you personally want to learn more about?
Real estate investing, there are just so many different paths. I'm really interested, in different strategies. I'm really interested in value add in office, as well as multifamily. I'm kind of curious about, how that is going to be how that's going to change. And also looking at how prop tech will will play a part in the evolution of the office. So looking at, just all of that, and how all of that will play into real estate investing, making the right investment decisions. I'm just interested in learning more about.
Yeah, I personally think that we are on the precipice of like a mini revolution, especially in the commercial real estate. And there's going to be a lot of meshing between office and multifamily, just as, like I said, the new normal is becoming working from home, but there's going to be some kind of merger where companies and, savvy developer, whoever it may be, is going to take advantage of that kind of trend and be able to blend those asset classes together some kind of way, in some innovative way that will be really profitable and it will be really innovative. So
yes, absolutely. Because at the end of the day, real estate is where we live, work, play, and shop. And we, as people in the industry, are part of that decision-making forefront. And so it's important that we are future thinking, as well as really being cognizant to what the needs of the population is and how that's shifting, so that you can actually be at the forefront of making the right investments decisions that put you in the right position.
Awesome. So last but not least, please give a shout out to another woman that's doing some awesome things in real estate.
So I'd like to shout out Melissa Fleury. So she's also a Project REAP alum. And she has so she's in real estate and also has a career business called The Branded Career. And it's really excellent, practical, and actionable guidance on how you can kind of transform your life and live out your aspirations. And I really love just the way she presents it in such a real way, and just her generous spirit, as I mentioned, all REAP alums have. It must be in the water. And she's just been really, really kind and generous to me. And I really love the content that she provides as well.
Okay, cool. Shout out to Melissa. Keep doing your thing. Keep providing that value and great content. We really appreciate it. All right. So, lastly, how can people get in touch with you? How can they follow what's going on with your journey?
Sure. So they can reach out to me on LinkedIn. It's my name. And I'm also on Instagram. That's more visual things that I enjoy about, real estate or life in general, or New York in general. And that is, I'll give you I'll put it in the link. It's
Okay.
Wooloxery, but the spelling isn't easy. So
Got you. And we'll have it here on the video and then also on the show notes to connect directly to her IG and her LinkedIn. So, lastly, any final words of wisdom that you want to leave with our audience today?
one, I'd like to thank you so much for, just being a trailblazing woman in the business. I think we just need more women like you who just care about the industry and also care about other women succeeding in the industry, and actually are being proactive about it. So I think your platform and your podcast is just such a powerful way to hear from other women, and just your spirit. I met you very briefly on a REAP visual, what do you call them, virtual meeting, and even from then you've just continued to just be like just a light. And I'm really grateful for that. And in general, for real estate, I would say to stay tuned and stay proactive. There's so much happening in the world right now, and you don't want to miss out on kind of honing in on where the industry is going. And a lot of times when an industry is in a difficult time is when there is the greatest opportunity. And it's important to kind of stay focused, stay informed, and stay active, so that you're not kind of behind the curve when the opportunity manifests, the right opportunity manifests.
For sure, for sure. Well, thank you so much for those kind words. They're too kind. I definitely wouldn't be, where I am and, have the information and the knowledge and resources that I have now without someone else helping me pull me up. So I try to definitely pay it forward as much as I can by helping others. And I'm constantly still learning. I'm still on my way up, quote unquote. So always just trying to add value to people I would consider above me on the same level, and people that I have to reach back and help and mentor any way that I can. So those words are so kind. I really appreciate it. And all the ladies that have been in the show are definitely inspiration, including you. So thank you again for joining me on the show. Thank you for sharing all your story. It's a fascinating journey, and I'm looking forward to just stay in tune with what's going on with you and your progress in the future.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. This has been fun.
Yes, yes, very fun. I appreciate it again. All right, you guys. Again, this was an episode of the Pretty Girls Love Real Estate podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any new episodes that come out. If you're listening on your podcast network, whatever that may be, please like the episode. Please subscribe to the channel as well. And I want to thank again my guest today, Wunmi Onile-Ere. Thank you for joining the show, and we'll see you guys the next time.
Thank you.